Today I'm going to show you how to open up these f30 taillights.
So we have these in so that we can do a clear lens swap on the OEM taillight.
The OEM taillights look very similar to this, but they have a red lens and the inside is all chrome.
So what we did was took an aftermarket set of lights, those, and we cut the lens off that, cut the OEM lens off, and swapped them over. And I'm gonna show you how we did that. First thing we need is tools. And these are the tools that we're gonna use, starting with the ultrasonic cutter. So this is going to be an extremely thin blade that vibrates and heats up, and we can get deep inside the taillight to cut just the lens and nothing else. Ultrasonic cutters range from like $300 to $600. So if you don't want to use an ultrasonic cutter, you can use a Dremel. This is the Dremel that I have. I have this attachment because this piece right here gets extremely hot. So this helps to be able to hold it for a much longer time. And this is the blade that I typically use on the Dremel. It's one, well used, and two, this is the diamond bit. It's just pretty thin compared to all the other bits. All of that together is probably like $200 to $300 as opposed to the $300 to $600. It's a much better deal, and most people may have some sort of Dremel in their toolkit already. The only downside to the Dremel is that it's extremely messy. This does not create any dust or anything like that, so we prefer this. Next up is various flatheads. So the first thing I'll use is a pocket screwdriver. It's just extremely small and thin. You can really get into small spaces, and then just one bigger one will help. You'll use the pocket screwdriver to get in there, and then this will help you move along the plastic to pop it loose. Once you've taken the lens off, you're gonna need to put it back onto the new light. So we'll use shoe goo. I know it sounds weird, but the shoe goo is surprisingly a really good adhesive. Once it cures up, it has a pretty high temperature for it to heat up and get loose, but if you do have some sort of issue, you can heat the shoe goo up and remove it completely, and it doesn't leave anything behind once you heat it up to a certain point. This stuff does a little bit for keeping water out, but once we do shoe goo, we're also going to add silicone in there. The silicone is what's really gonna give it that waterproof property to it. Now, the next things are not required, but we use a foam pad and cling wrap to protect it. You can see right here that I have this light completely cling wrapped, and that's just so that we don't scratch the lens or anything. Not really required, but it just helps keep your lens fresh and everything, so it's kind of nice to have. Before we get cutting, I just wanted to show you the line that we used. So if you're looking at your light, we literally just went in between the lens and the back housing. Okay, so now the lens is ready to go on to the OEM housing. I actually did not get any footage of that, unfortunately, but we did film for the Honda Civic, which is the exact same process. So I'm going to cut that in right now. Okay, for this next step, you're gonna need shoe goo or goop and tape. Let's do this one first. So carefully take the lens off, set that over, and just get rid of that. So what I do is I peel this plastic back off of the inside of the lens, being really careful not to touch it. Actually take compressed air and blow all of the dust out of the inside of the lens, and then I set it on the light. Okay, your housing has nice clean edges. There's no dust on the inside of the lens, no dust on the inside of the housing. So I actually try to make sure that, one, this fits. I do a little test fit, test mock up first. Everything looks okay. Now, what you're gonna do is you're gonna set everything in place and use your tape. Okay, tape is on. So what I'm looking for whenever I do this is to match OEM fitment. So the main thing I'm focusing on here is this inside line, because if this isn't exactly like OEM, then it's going to look really weird sitting next to the other tail light, because these are a set. So whenever these are on the car, if these two lines are off, it's gonna mess up the whole light, this whole light, and the fitment is gonna be really bad. Now it's time to add your shoe goo or goop. And you're gonna put it right inside the crack, in between the housing and the lens. I like to do 3 or 4 spots on this one. 3 is gonna be plenty. On this big one, 4 is definitely gonna be recommended. Okay, you don't have to do this next thing if you don't want to. They're your lights, you do you. But I like to clean this up. That doesn't look professional at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, make it look completely flush so that it looks like it's supposed to be there. Pro tip, spray glass cleaner on your fingers whenever you go to wipe your silicone or your adhesive. It helps it not stick to your fingers. Yeah, that looks much better. Time to do the same to these. Okay, you're gonna wanna leave these sitting for at least 24 hours. I like to make sure that that adhesive is really cured before I mess with it. I don't wanna accidentally move the lens and make the alignment off. Okay, it is the next day. The adhesive is fully cured, so now we can actually put in the silicone to seal it up and make it watertight. This is the silicone I use. Just make sure that you get silicone 2. Silicone 1 shrinks after a little bit and silicone 2 does not. They sell it in multiple different colors. I always use the black one. It looks the cleanest. Before adding the silicone, I like to inspect the lens and make sure that there is no dust or debris inside, because we still have these cracks, so we can actually use our compressed air and clean it out before we seal it up. Okay, this is all sealed up. We do have to let this cure. I think cure time on this is just a couple of hours, so that's not too bad. But you're probably thinking that this still doesn't look too good. All of this edge right here, that looks horrible. I've had several people ask why I don't put paint on the inside, and I actually have. Putting paint on the inside actually still shows the cut. It's a lot lighter. The plastic shows up a lot lighter compared to the not cut part. So that's why I paint the outside, because it actually hides absolutely everything. All of this cut, all of the silicone. You can actually see right here, all of this is filled with silicone. So it should be solid black like this very, very thin edge here, but it's showing up white. I normally do a black border. I think this time I'm gonna do a silver border. People seem to like the all silver chrome look. So I think that's what I'm gonna do this time. I'm gonna try a metallic silver and see how the border looks on this. All taped off, ready for paint. Now, I'm sure someone out there is thinking, why would we do this when they have a clear lens option for this that's all chrome and everything? 1, those go out of stock pretty frequently, and 2, this customer wanted the OEM taillights. There are some very minor differences in between the aftermarket and OEM, and this customer just wanted to keep that OEM feel to it. He already had both sets of lights, so he shipped them out to us and we were able to swap it. One of the coolest things is that, like, right here on the side on the OEM lights, it actually says BMW. The LEDs that are used right here are different. The OEM ones are way brighter. And obviously this red is actually clear. Okay, bye.